Remote first. I know that sounds very nowadays, very hype, but Frank from Project Wizards applied this principle in 2002. And today we will talk about what we can learn from a company that is already remote first for the last 20 years, which digital tools that they use, and also his insights as an entrepreneur and as a very experienced project manager. Hi, my name is John, and I am the founder of 360 Digital Transformation. In today's episode, we have Frank Blome with us. He is the founder of the Project Wizards and the #1 project management tool in the whole Apple world. And Merlin has customers from billion-dollar companies to Mittelstand companies. Therefore, I am quite excited for this episode. Without any further ado. Hi, Frank. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thank you for being here and for your time. Can you please introduce yourself and also the Project Wizards?
Difficult name, I know. Yes, I'm Frank Blome. I'm born in '66, so I'm a little bit older semester. And I founded in 2002 the company called Project Wizards. First, it was meant to be just a service-oriented company. Basically, we did project management, both in a strategic and operational form. And later down the road, exactly in the year 2004, we started with the development, and the result was the project management software called Merlin. And since then, the company has completely changed. We are now the producer and the seller of the project management software Merlin project, and that's my daily business.
I will also ask about Merlin and I think first project management tool on Apple as well, right?
Right.
Yeah,
we are fully concentrated on all Apple platforms, basically Mac OS and iOS, and of course the iPad OS.
Yeah, but that's an interesting story because I heard your story. How did you choose not to go Microsoft? How did you end up with Merlin? But those topics we will touch during our conversation anyways. But, you own a Mittelstand company and you have a lot of Mittelstand customers. And during this conversation, I would like to mix both because you are on the both sides of the table. Therefore, your experiences are very important for us and the audience. But I remember you told me about you are a remote-only company for years and years, even enough time before Corona. And which makes you one of the most experienced remote Mittelstand companies in Germany. So I would like to ask your learnings and takeaways for other Mittelstand companies that can and should definitely learn from you.
Maybe beforehand, 2 sentences about the reason why we did a remote company. Because it was mainly in 2002 when the company has started. We decided right away, and in that early years, to choose such organization form, and that came basically from a very, very practical reason. I'm living in a very small town called Mellin, which is in the triangle between Münster, Osnabrück and Bielefeld. And when I try to get high professional people to Mellin, it's a very difficult job. And, no nightlife, no social life and such things in that little village. And I decided, because of that reason, to start remotely and told everyone, every employee, basically where they can, yeah, they can live and work from where they want to live. And that was the reason why we did it. And yeah, it was a tough time in the early days. You remember 2002. Yes, we had things like the internet, but video conferencing was not that comfortable as it is today. For telephone conferences, we still had these kind of spider devices. You maybe remember, and it was a huge fuss and fight. And I was actually scared because of every telephone conference in these old days, because you could understand anything at all. So now I'm very, very glad that the technique has developed way much further, and yeah, we can work absolutely fine. Yeah, this brings me to your question. Can you repeat that question again? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's all good. And thank you for giving the background why you, like literally 20 years ago, has chosen to be a remote company. My question is, you are definitely the most experienced remote first company in Germany, as at least German Mittelstand, but I assume almost whole Germany. What are your takeaways and learnings for other Mittelstand companies who still might be thinking whether that's a good idea, whether that's applicable to their business?
Yeah, got you. I learned very quickly that you have to lead the company in a complete different way. Of course, you have the typical KPIs, the key performance indicators for your company, which is pretty much standard. But you have three main things which completely different. Number one is the employee. You have to take care for selecting the right people working with you. You have to find out where these guys can work remotely, can work on their own, because it's very important that you get in the morning out of bed more or less on time. It's very important that you find your goals self and fulfill them, and many, many other things. So the person is probably the most crucial factor in a remote work. Because from my end, the most important thing is trust. I have to trust the people, and I have, on the other hand, give them way more freedom as I would do in a regular local company. Because in a local company, you probably have more or less a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. Or you have typical German word Gleitzeit. I don't know whether there is an English pendant for that. I don't think sliding time is a good translation for that. But come as you want and go as you want is probably the best translation. And this is what we did in the early days, way before it's a good opinion to do so. Because I told the people, hey, we are head worker. 90% of our work happens in the head, and I cannot switch on and switch off your head. Sometimes it needs some fresh air. So go out for a walk, come back, and then work again. The only exception is appointments. Whenever there is a defined appointment, of course, be on time. Typical German mentality. But everything else gets way more flexible than in regular or in standard companies. Next is vacation. We stopped very, very long time ago the whole vacation process. So I don't sign any vacation request or so. I'm not the baby taker in my company. They are all grown up. They can do it by yourself. They have just the responsibility to talk to the other person in their team that they have some, that the work can continue. That basically. And in addition to that, I even do not count the vacation days anymore. Of course, The German tax authorities have a different opinion on that. And we still have to handle the number of days for the tax authorities, the well-known German Finanzamt. But the point is, if someone needs more vacation for whatever reason, hey, he or she can have it, no problem at all. So again, number one, the person. Number two is cost. Many people think, especially nowadays, think that remote working is a cost-saving program because you don't have to rent an office, you don't have to rent furniture, and so on and so forth. That's a complete false assumption. In most cases, I gave all of my employees at least a chair, and a very comfortable chair. For example, we are working with Wilkinson, the chair number one. And this is the time we sit 80% of our things. We spend them a desk if needed. Of course, many people have a desk, but in some cases, the guys came to me and said, I'm very short of a professional desk. Can you help me? Yes, of course, I did. And that's important. And the next thing in regard of cost is, of course, we meet regularly. We have regular team meetings where we meet somewhere in nice Germany, sometimes in the middle, sometimes in a city where an employee is sitting. So it's a nice round trip always. And we meet roughly for 2.5 days. 2.5 days means we start in the evening of the first day with a nice dinner. And I love a good glass of wine. And believe me, this can be expensive. Then the next day we do some work, of course, over the day. We present to our whole team what we did over the last time. And we are proud of that, what we did. And of course, we are discussing strategy and things like that. And then from one point, we stop working. Of course, we can work all day long. But for me, these team meetings are mostly, let's say, 70 to 30% in that split, with a fun factor. And this fun factor is basically, do some socializing thing. It's not this classical team building stuff, because I don't care. The thing is, we have to communicate. We are missing on a daily basis our coffee kitchen, where we can meet and talk nonsense. So these team meetings are prepared for having fun, talking nonsense, and doing other funny things. So that's a cost. So at the end, I would say it's about the same what we do. Yeah, and the last is tools. And this is what I said in the beginning of our talk. At the first time, we did not have these tools like Zoom and so on. And after we are fully concentrated on the whole remote thing, all tools have to be network able. All tools have to be a communication channel. All tools does not have to run in the cloud. It's very important for us because we are doing project management and sometimes even as a service provider, still as a service provider for other companies. And if I would do a project for UCAN, you would be very upset if you found your project data somewhere in the internet.
Yeah.
So the golden rule for us is no data in the cloud. And that's a very, very important stuff for us. And this is back to the selection of tools, one of our golden rules, basically. And you can look through the desktop of all of our computers. We have no cloud-based tools. We have, of course, server-based tools, but these servers are standing in our basements or in the basements of some employees. We have found a very good, nice round trip of the data, including backup strategies, etc., etc. So I think these three things, again, people, cost, and tools are the most important things you have to take care of.
Yeah.
Sorry, long answer.
But it's a great answer. And you actually almost answered my next question. That was about how do project wizards use digitalization in daily business. So you can, of course, explain this with the tools, and you have explained the most of it. As you have sensitive customer data, you don't want to let the data in the cloud. Then you keep on your own servers within your company. But other than that, what kind of digitalization measures you took, and actually the way that you canceled your vacation request process in a way that you didn't digitalize it. You said, okay, we don't need it anymore. That's a great example as well. But are there any other examples that use different kind of tools or digital setups that enables you to run your daily business?
Yes, yes. We have one golden rule, and that's no paper. I think, yes, exactly. We try it, but again, German authorities and German tax system requires a lot of paperwork. And we struggle with other partners like our tax advisor and so on. We have a little paper, but for the main workflows, we have no paper. So one example, whenever some mail gets in, typical German snail mail, my wife, who is also my assistant, so I have the luxury, my wife is my assistant, she scans all the mail and delivers that via Zoom or via email to the addressing people. That's one example. The other example is whenever there gets some requests, our main communication tool is Zoom, so the same platform as we are talking now. And we are not using the audio and the video channel from Zoom, but also the chat. So we have created a number of chat channels where we have focus groups. For example, we have a general focus group for all that stuff. Then we have a support focus group. Of course, we have a Merlin project focus group. We have a developer focus group, and so on. All these things. And whenever we have an information to transport, it goes into this focus group and will be delivered automatically to all requested people. You can imagine to the support focus group, there are the supporter of the software, there are the sales guys of the software, and of course the administrative people like Steffi, my wife, and me. And for the development focus group, yeah, sure, the name tells it all the developers plus me. You know, I'm the housekeeper with the brush and I have to clean all that stuff. But back to the digital thing. Whenever we have any process, any new upcoming process, we are thinking how to, to prepare, or no, that's not the real word, how to fulfill this process in order to be as fluent, as fast, and as paperless as possible. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I would say in 90% it works.
Yeah. And I like the golden rule, no paper, except the German authorities, you know that.
Yeah.
No paper. That's actually great. That's actually great. And you have a process mindset which you apply whenever you have something new. You ask yourself, or your employees ask themselves, how can we do in the most efficient, paperless and digital way? And one highlight is not using Zoom or Teams just a media for team meetings, but also main communication channel where you can create different focus groups, different departments, different channels, whatever you call it. But then, yeah, the main conversation is there instead of email ping pong. We call it. That's also way better, because I don't think that's why emails are for. Thank you for this great example. Then I would like to go a little bit into Merlin and how Merlin help Mittelstand companies, because I remember you said we have a lot of Mittelstand customers, and maybe here you talk a little bit more about Merlin, and then we go to your use cases, how Merlin helps Mittelstand.
Yeah, Merlin. So the full name is Merlin Project, and in that name, the main reason or the sense of the application is in the name. It's a project management software. And believe it or not, not only in the Mittelstand, but also in all other sizes of companies, starting with a freelancer up to $1 billion enterprise, they all do projects. They all do little things which involve more than one person, more than one step, and have some goal in any case. And Merlin is basically the master tool for the Apple ecosystem compared to Microsoft Project on the Windows ecosystem, where we can deliver all the tools for doing this project management, starting with traditional project management like architecture business. You cannot build the roof before you have the house built or the basement is done. It's impossible. You need to have step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. That's traditional project management. And the other thing, basically in contrast, is the agile project management. This is the thing what everyone talks about. Hey, we have to be agile, we have to be whatsoever. And this is basically the people can select their tools, not their tools, their actions, and do it when they want to do that. It's a very simplified thing, description, but it should show the contrast between agile and traditional, and that's a very important thing to understand. In some cases, agile is the greatest project management methodology in the world, but in some cases it don't. So you have to have the traditional stuff still. And then there is something in the middle. We call it creative project management. This is very feasible for all creative agencies like media agencies and marketing companies and so on and so forth, where the customer comes to the agency and says, hey, we have to do a project with this objective, but I have no clue how to reach that. And then they're starting doing the brainstorm. And the master tool for a brainstorming is sometimes a mind map. So we have to, built in the mind map into Merlin. And guess what? We have for all 3 different strategies, like the standard Gantt chart for the traditional guys, the Kanban board for the agile guys, and the mind map for the creative guys. Again, it's very simplified, but it tells a story, what's behind. And all these things helps the people to create their project. And after creating the project is, of course, they start and run the project. So fulfilling the objectives, fulfilling the timeline, fulfilling the cost is very important. And all these things support Merlin, basically, the customer. And remember, maybe you can imagine project management as a triangle. You have 3 cornerstones at every edge. On the first cornerstone, you have time. So project management software manages the time, obviously. The thing has to start at this and that date. It takes that long or has to be finished at that date. Second point is the finances, the money. This activity has to cost a maximum 1,000 euro or 1,000 US dollar. This is very often a calculation based on the resources, who has some cost factor, based on some other things. It will be calculated. And the third thing is the contents. And this is what I told before, how to get the things done. And my advice to every person, whenever they look for a project management software, beside of the shameless marketing spot I'm doing now, is basically look for these three things. So don't trust a project management software without time, money, and contents. That's the most important thing. And companies like Microsoft do it very well with Microsoft Project. Some others do it very well, but many nowadays called project management application, they don't do it. They have just the contents, they have just the time, but mostly they have no cost, and most of all, they don't have a connection in between all. And this brings me to the last point. This is the reporting after the thing is done. You have to compare which one or how was it planned and how did we end. So you have a planned actual values comparison, and this had to be delivered to the customer in some way of any reporting. And this is more or less the very simplified workflow through a project management software. And this is what Merlin does on a Mac and on an iPad.
That's a great summary. And exactly as you said, most of the tools are, I call them task management tools. It's great to manage tasks, but overall as a project, where are the connections? How did we start? Where did we end? What's the cost difference? Did we do good, bad? So it's very difficult to monitor and make a comparison how we are doing and how we did at the end. So that's a very valid point, I see. And yes, I didn't mention about you also have very big worldwide known clients, billion-dollar companies, but it's about Mittelstand. So sorry, I focused on the Mittelstand part, but not to underestimate your success. As I said, this is the #1 project management tool in the Apple world. And I remember you were telling the Microsoft guy even using Merlin project in a fair in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's a great story. Yes, then I think we are very good with our questions. And the last question I would like to ask you is, as I said, you are on both sides of the tables. You are a Mittelstand company owner, but you also have a tremendous amount of Mittelstand companies to manage their projects. And that makes your experience way more valuable. What are your top suggestions to other Mittelstand managers, which they can apply in their businesses?
Wow, that's probably the most difficult question. I have a very unprofessional suggestion. Unprofessional because it's completely human-based. And you know, we humans are just unprofessional or in not any case, perfect. When it comes to new solutions, when it comes to new challenges in my environment, either way as being the service provider or the service taker, I trust my stomach. I listen to my stomach very often, and that helps me quite a lot. You know, you have numbers to convince you. You have good arguments to convince you to do or not to do anything. But after all, look, ask your stomach what tells the gut feeling for you. Next is look for service. Look for service in a case when something goes wrong. You have to have people to talk to. You know, normally when we do anything like projects, like services, like products, if everything runs fine, You're totally fine. No problem at all. But when it comes to problems or issues, you have to have someone to talk to or at least to write to. And then you need a fantastic support. And this is, for example, again, a very shameless marketing spot now. But this is a point where I looked very much behind. I forced my guys to, for example, to answer every email from customers or even from prospects within a very short time period. In fact, after 2 hours maximum, each mail gets answered. And not answered with a, yes, we got your request and we will answer within the next 5 weeks. No, you get an answer right away. And this is the reason why I have not just one support person, but many. And I even have an overflow person. So if the number of questions are too high, then he jumps in and helps together on that. So gut feeling and service, I think that's the most important thing. Everything else, everyone knows that. He has requirements. He sees, okay, we need a project management software on Windows. Hey, fine, we are out of the game because as long as I'm the CEO of the company, there won't be a Windows version statement. And a good thing or a good partner for that would be Microsoft. But when you're on the Mac side, go to our website, projectwizards.net, check it out and see if the features which we deliver fit in your requests or in your needs, and then check it out. Download the software, get it for free and work with that. You have 30 days of trial. If you have questions, come to us and ask. And yeah, beside the facts, gut feeling and support.
Yeah, and those questions will be answered in 2 hours. And that's agile, right? That's agile.
Yeah.
You don't have to fit in the whole methodology just to apply some parts of it. I mean, most of people think 1 or 0, but it's not 1 or 0. It's generally hybrid. It's generally sometimes waterfall project management, sometimes agile, sometimes a good mix, as you said, because when you produce physical things, there are prerequisites like constructions, as you said. You cannot install the lightning fixtures unless you have the ceiling there, or you find some flying fixtures. So long story short, yes, that's a great takeaway for today, I believe. Trust your gut feeling, and also very agile customer support. So give your customers even more than what they want. That's my understanding of your suggestions. Thank you, Frank. You have already mentioned how people can find Project Wizards website, but how people can find you?
Have a look on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Again, Frank Blome, my name. Just type in and follow me. I don't take connections unless I've met them in person. So please ask for a connection, just follow me, and sooner or later we get in touch and we can do such great things. I don't know whatever will happen, but that's the main spot of contact for me.
Perfect. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. It was really enlightening for me as well. It's not our first time, and I'm sure it won't be our last time. Thank you for your time.
Very, very welcome. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed our talk, and yeah, have fun.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.